Padraic, the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, it's becoming a key part of the sporting calendar, the tourism calendar. I know you've just recently announced the fixture for this August. How did it all start?
Yeah, we've this year will be the third game in the series, third game in a row, which is a milestone in so many ways. The first time the same country has hosted a college football game 3 years in a row outside of the United States. A lot of people are responsible, to be fair, is go back as far as back as 1988 when Army played Boston here.
So right. So
the Irish
success truly does have many parents.
Yeah, it had a stop-start. So this will be the ninth game. There was 88, 89. 96 probably was the first. Notre Dame decided Boston College are around. We better do something. We better go home. And they came to town in Croke Park, and I think about 10,000 Americans travelled, etc. And again, nobody really knew what was going on, etc. And where we first got involved was in the 2012 fixture, which at the time, if you remember, Owen, when that game did eventually come and 35,000 Americans came with it, it got us out of that economic recession. It was the boost we all wanted. We launched the Gathering game, etc. But the year earlier,
I remember back then, because I think the game and the Gathering and VAT 9% had just come in, and I think the government got rid of the airline tax, the airport tax. So the game sort of nearly symbolized the rebirth of Irish tourism.
No question, absolutely no question. And from being the other part of my job, from being in the restaurant side of the world, we were coming out of a really, really difficult time. But it was about March 2011 that I got a phone call from Martin Upton from Glendimplex, and Martin was a trustee of Notre Dame University. And I remember him saying before, there's a group of Americans coming in from Notre Dame. Will you go see what they want, and we'll try and understand it a little bit better. So I met these fabulous, I think, the team 11 from Notre Dame, and they said to me, "Padraic, you look after our tailgate and our pep rally." And I said to them back, as soon as I Googled what they are, of course I will. And that was my baptism of fire. Anyway, we got an opportunity with some colleagues to go to South Bend, Indiana, and what an eye-opening college game, 80,000 people in the stadium, another 25,000 people outside tailgating. They make an unbelievable commitment, whether the team is winning or losing, their alumni attend, etc. So what an eye-opener to understand this. So we quickly discovered that this is amazing. So lo and behold, the 2012, we were fortunate to work closely with Notre Dame in that. They were the away team. We were expecting about 15,000 people, 28,000 Notre Dame came in the end. Huge pull together of all of Ireland in relation to, we had a non-official steering committee doing it, and we pulled it off with the Naval Academy too, who were an amazing partner on it. I didn't know them as well as we do now, but we got a feel for it then. Wow, this is something unbelievable. And then in 2016, Boston College and Georgia Tech were looking to come to Ireland, and for completely legitimate reasons. I think it was currency, lack of government intervention. Them two particular reasons that the game failed. And I remember ringing, so it wasn't going to happen. So I remember talking to John Anthony in Anthony Travel, now my business partner and from On Location, and saying, look, it's too big to lose. I got a feel for it. John had been involved from 96 on the travel side. We just said, it's too big to lose. And we literally had, I think, 3 weeks to rescue that game. We, Jen Magner, who you know from Abbey, he helped me lock the Dublin City Council, Tourism Ireland and Funds Ireland into a room in the Chief Executive Office in DCC. And we said, look, guys, are we going to do this or not? We talked them through the advantages, etc. And literally the funding we looked for, we came out with half of it, which was great and fine, etc. But on the way out the door, I said to the guys, can I hold on to the title sponsorship? We're going to make this. And they said, yes. And lo and behold, a couple of days later, I was introduced to Stephen Cabinet, the then CEO of Aer Lingus. Halfway through the pitch, 10 minutes into it, he said, I'm in. And the rest is history. Aer Lingus.
Yeah. So those four, if you like, founding partners, Aer Lingus, Fixture Ireland, Tourism Ireland, and Dublin City Council, they're still, if you like, the anchor partners of the games.
Absolutely, and amazing partners at that. We have a steering committee now, public-private partnership that Neil Naughton and Stephen Cabinet jointly chair for us. But it to me, it's one of the most successful public-private partnerships I've ever seen operate. It's just everyone on the one page trying to make it work for the good of Ireland.
Yeah, and I think what you said in that crunch meeting with the partners, it's too big to lose. It's very true. It was too big to lose, and in fact, Grant Thornton did a report on the game last year, which was Notre Dame against Navy, and the numbers are really impressive, aren't they, in terms of the economic impact that it brings to Ireland?
It is, and we're delighted and we're thankful to Grant Thornton for doing that report in conjunction with Fáilte Ireland, Dublin City Council with their MasterCard report, Fáilte Ireland with their data. So again, the data was excellent. We knew where every ticket in the stadium was sold, what country. We knew we had 39,000 and I think 700 something in America. We had 1,050 in Europe, and the rest were domestic. We were able to trace. The guests stayed on average 6.6 nights. So it's a real Ireland event. This is not a Dublin event. A lot of major events come in. It's Dublin only. They're in for 2 nights, 1 night in some cases, 3 nights, and gone. This is on average the 6.6 nights, 7 nights. I call it 3 in Dublin, 4 around the country, or vice versa. So it was a win for everyone, and that's the nice thing about it. So the data was really, really good. So to come out with a direct economic benefit of last year's game at 180 million is a new record, as is the number of Americans to travel to Ireland for a single event. What's not in that own, and we're delighted it's not, when you look back in the Ryder Cup economic benefit of 2006, there's no indirect. So we know indirectly we had 3.8 million Americans on that day live on NBC viewing the game from Dublin. There was no other game on. That it wasn't just the game. They were around Ireland. They took them some great footage. We were on every TV channel and the highlights of sports and so on and so forth, the social media, all that side of it. So we got serious eyeballs in the States, not just on the day, but in the lead up to it. And then the amount of business events that happened, the academic events, the network events, fellas away playing golf, it was that's secondary indirect revenue.
Yeah, the Grant Thornton report said the direct economic value was something like 180 million, but you're probably talking about a multiple of that again. If you add in, as you say, the exposure for Ireland, the ancillary events, all the ancillary revenue, I mean, it's a really, really exciting economic case study, isn't it?
It is, and that's why our colleagues in Tourism Ireland get in behind it. And they look at it from an all-island perspective as opposed to just the Republic as well. They're a fantastic partner. It works in everywhere. I think Tourism Ireland will love it. We Fáilte, Dublin City Council, every restaurant and hotel works. It's an economic win, but then you look at the level of our business partners, the Ireland CEO club that sits. We've 8 fantastic partners in there. We put together 450 the strongest CEOs that are available to us from America and Ireland in a room, and we allow them network. Same with academic events and so on. So it's much more than the game.
Yeah, and it really copper fastens that relationship between Ireland Inc. and the USA. I presume, due to its success, probably other countries want to sort of steal our lunch. I imagine we can't take this for granted. I suppose you say we're 3 games through. I think it's a 5-game series at the moment. Where does it go from here? Because this is something that, as you say, it's too big to lose. I suppose we want to make this a regular annual event. It's successful for the colleges that play. It's successful for Irish tourism. Ireland benefits economically. But I'm just thinking, maybe other countries and other cities are looking at that Grant Thornton report going, God, we'd love a little bit of that. So we have to work hard, don't we?
That's a very fair point. So you take, and to give you a feel for the next couple of years, Florida State versus Georgia Tech this year, will be 23,000 Americans coming in, 16,500 of them will be from Florida State. Great connections with Ireland between that state and here, an opportunity to cement it. We've recalculated that economic benefit for next year's game, for this year's game, which will be set in around 100 million euros. So that alone, and that's a standard year, as we would call it, that's in around the business model. Next year, last week, you might have noticed we announced Kansas State versus Iowa State for the 2025 fixture. The fixture that's called Farmageddon. So we'll all have a relation to that. 2 big agricultural states. But when we looked in deep to it, as we looked at this fixture, their alumni live in Key. They're in Chicago. And again, it's back to that power of the alumni. We have a 27 game. We have with Pittsburgh involvement. We have to announce a 26 game. So outside of the 26 game, we have now 5 of our games filled in. So thankfully, we're back with open doors, talking with our partners about extending this by another 10 years at a minimum. Yeah. Because, and I'll get on to answer the question about can someone steal our lunch? Absolutely, and we need to protect that. Yeah. And that's what that steering committee and all of us have a job to do there. The Irish factor plays a huge part. The universities, we have to convince head coaches to do this. Head coaches are paid a lot of money. This is an amateur sport that it's gone semi-professional, and who knows where it'll be in 10, 15 years' time. So this is ours to lose. And I think, I don't think I know it from minister down to all our bishop down, to be fair. They've all got to feel this and got to understand it.
Yeah. And it's the first game of the college season, isn't it? So that's why it's August. That's why, if you like, all the spotlight is on that game and all the spotlight is on Ireland. So, you could argue that Irish tourism and hotels are doing okay in August anyway. But in fact, we can't really choose the calendar date. And the upside from the exposure stateside, you couldn't buy that sort of coverage.
For example, this year in 2024, ESPN Game Day is coming to town. It's going to broadcast from Dublin between 2 and 5 p.m. live, and then the game is 5 to sort of 9 p.m. So we've 7 hours, 7-8 hours, and so game day is somewhere between match of the day and or GA equivalent
Sunday game.
Yeah. But they do it so they analyze. So it's characters, absolute characters, live in the street. They have an average audience of about 3 million people. The nice thing about that is not just the 2 states or the 2 teams we're working with. We get exposure to the whole of the United States because they're predicting games for the next week game, who's going to win the championship, all of those things. So that exposure for Ireland, and yes, and if it wasn't the secondary exposure, Aer Lingus would have their flights full. Touring Ireland, that's a busy time of the year, etc. But the secondary side of it now, yes. The level of tourists that comes in, they're ABs. I even question them some seasons. They're high spending.
And as you say, they spend 7 days around the countries. They're spreading their love well beyond Dublin.
Oh, well beyond Dublin, and their pockets are deeper as well. So it does help that way. But it's the exposure in relation to Ireland is clearly front centre. We're up there with a Paddy's Day when this game is on in the States, and that's something we need to cherish and look after.
Absolutely. And anything we in the Irish tourism industry can do to support you, obviously, we're fully part of the team. Padraic, just on a sort of an aside, or related but an aside, you're a man of many hats and many talents, and you've recently been nominated. You've been shortlisted as Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year. You're the only hospitality, though, as I understand it, actor in that space. Well done, first of all. But I think there's also something there, isn't there, that tourism and hospitality, maybe we should be taking a more proactive approach in trying to ensure that the economic rationale behind what we do is actually reflected in some of these things.
Yeah, firstly, thank you. It's an honor. And you're absolutely so. There's 24 finalists, 3 categories. And from hospitality, events, tourism, I'm the only one shortlisted this year as a finalist. I know the creativity, the resourcefulness, the determination that's in our entrepreneurs within our sector, etc. So, is it a case that we're so much in the ditch at the moment, trying to deal with costs and to deal with problems and protect our business, etc., that we're not actually looking past tomorrow? And and I must look back in previous years. I know we've had some fabulous hoteliers and hospitality people involved in the Ernst & Young competition, etc. But more of it should be there. There's no doubt about that. And during it's a 10-month process that I'm really looking forward to, leading up to the finals in November.
Yeah, and of course the college football game will be bang in the middle of that. That 10 months.
Fun, and we've a week in Cape Town at the end of May with my fellow finalists and former alumni, which is fabulous from that networking point of view, to understand businesses and to get to know people. We had our first meeting, our first dinner last Thursday, and it was like being the first day back to going to school. There was 24 of us in the room, and like talking to the person next to you, will you be my friend? And so much support. But it's a huge honour, but certainly I'm going to voice a little bit. I'm going to take the opportunity to voice the hospitality concerns that we all have and we all share. Today is a good news story in relation to what we're doing in college football, but we do know the difficulties as an industry of what we face. This helps, but it doesn't help alone.
Yeah, great. Well, listen, best of luck, Padraic, in the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award. We'll certainly be supporting you. You can be sure of that. And congratulations again on the college football series. And listen, let's keep it going in the right direction. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Owen.